You know that feeling, right? When you're running a business and it just feels like chaos. You're juggling a bunch of different programs, drowning in spreadsheets, and your data never seems to line up. It feels like you're losing your grip. But what if there was a clear path to get that control back? Well, in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to do it. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll really get into the weeds of the problem itself. Then, we'll talk about the solution, a unified ERP system. We'll look at a really cool tool called ERPNext, and then the crucial part, the role of an expert guide like NextFuture. After that, we'll check out the proof and see this thing in action. All right, let's dive right in. Section 1, operational chaos. This is the daily grind for so many companies, and really understanding this pain point is the first step to finally fixing it. I mean, does this scene sound a little too familiar? Your sales team is over here using their own system, accounting is in a totally different world, and the warehouse, well, that's on another planet. All your most critical information is buried in who knows how many Excel files, and nobody's ever 100% sure which one is the right one. And all that chaos? It has a real cost. When your programs don't talk to each other, your team is stuck manually re-entering data, which, leads to mistakes. That inconsistent data means you can't actually trust your own numbers. And that leads to the biggest problem of all. You're slow to make decisions, or worse, you make the wrong ones when it really counts. So how in the world do you escape this mess? Well, that brings us right to our second section, the solution. It's called a Unified Enterprise Resource Planning System, but everyone just calls it an ERP. The easiest way to think about an ERP is like the central nervous system for your entire company. It's one single place, one platform that connects every department and every single process. It makes sure everyone is on the same page, working from the same playbook. And you can see that idea right here. Instead of these separate walled-off silos for finance, sales, and inventory, an ERP connects them all into one hub. And what you get is what's called a single source of truth. It gives you a complete up-to-the-minute picture of your entire business. No more guessing. Of course, not all ERPs are the same, not by a long shot. And that brings us to section 3, where we're going to look at a specific tool that's really a game changer for modern businesses, ERPNext. So what's the big deal with ERPNext? Well, for starters, it is 100% open source. What that means for you is you get to avoid those crazy escalating per-user fees that you see with other big platforms. It's also an all-in-one system with modules for pretty much everything, and it's super customizable. It actually adapts to how you work, not the other way around. And here's a quick look at how ERPNext stacks up against some of the big guys. You can see right away it has a huge advantage in easy setup and low/no-code customization. If you're in manufacturing, that multi-level bill of materials is absolutely critical. And notice, Zoho doesn't have it. And for more complex finances, the distributed cost center feature gives it a real edge over Odoo. Powerful data is totally useless if you can't understand it, and that's another place ERPNext shines. It gives you these clean, simple dashboards. On the left, you've got a live look at your sales performance. On the right, a real-time view of your manufacturing floor. It takes all that complex data and makes it simple, and more importantly, actionable. Okay, but as we move into section 4, it is so important to remember this. A powerful tool is only half the battle. You absolutely need an expert guide to put it to work correctly. And this is where a partner like NextFuture comes into the picture. Seriously, this is the key takeaway. Success isn't just about the software you pick, it's about the implementation partner. You can have the best ERP in the world, but if it's implemented poorly, it's just a recipe for disaster. You need a partner who gets your business from the inside out. And NextFuture has this down to a science with a proven step-by-step process. They don't just install some software and disappear. Nope. They start by really digging in and analyzing how you work now. Then they customize and configure ERPNext to fit you like a glove. They handle the tricky data migration and, so important, they train your team before you ever go live. It's a real partnership. But NextFuture's expertise goes way beyond just the tech. As we're going to see in section 5, they offer a really unique partnership that brings critical local expertise to the table, which, if you're operating in the Middle East, is a total game changer. This partnership is really what sets them apart. You see, NextFuture combines its top-tier tech know-how with the deep financial and regulatory knowledge of HBCS, who are leading consultants in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? It means you get a solution that's not just powerful, but also fully compliant with all the complex local laws. Take this, for example. Navigating the ZATCA e-invoicing rules in Saudi Arabia can be a massive headache. Well, the NextFuture system is built from the ground up to handle these complex regulations without you even having to think about it. This isn't some patch or an add-on. It's baked right into the core of the solution they deliver. Okay, so we've seen the problem, the solution, the tool, and the expert guide. So now for the big question, does it actually work? Let's look at the proof. The proof is really in the pudding when you see the huge range of industries they serve. We're talking everything from complex food and consumer goods manufacturing to trading and distribution, e-commerce, and even education and professional services. That's how you know their expertise is flexible and effective. Let's just zoom in on manufacturing for a sec. This chart shows a pretty typical workflow, right? It all starts with a bill of materials. That kicks off a work order, which then triggers job cards and material transfers. It might look complex, but what you're really seeing is a completely integrated and controlled process, from A to Z, all managed seamlessly right inside ERPNext. And, this quote from NextFuture themselves really sums up their whole philosophy. They don't just have clients, they build partnerships. Their success is literally measured by the success of the businesses they work with. And that, right there, is the ultimate proof that their system works. So the final question isn't just about whether you need new software. It's about this. Are you ready to turn all that operational chaos into a powerful, competitive advantage? Because with the right tool and, just as importantly, the right partner, you can absolutely make it happen.